The drama surrounding the Indiana Fever's season didn't just end on the court in Game 5 against the Las Vegas Aces. It unraveled in a storm of controversy, heartbreak, and whispers of corruption that still echo across the WNBA. Fans watched in disbelief. Analysts called it one of the most bizarre officiating performances of the season, and the players themselves were left with bruises that went far beyond the physical. To understand what really happened, you have to step back and see the game not just as a loss, but as a story of survival, resistance, and perhaps theftware. The final scoreboard told one version, and the truth on the floor told another. From the opening tip, the Fever weren't just battling the defending two-time champions. They were wrestling against something far more insidious, a referee crew that seemed determined to keep the balance tilted toward Las Vegas. Each whistle felt heavier than the last. Each foul called against Indiana struck like another brick stacked onto a wall they weren't meant to climb. By the time the game reached its conclusion, even neutral fans wondered if the contest had ever been about basketball at Allure, if the script had been written long before the ball went up Alia Boston. Indiana's anchor in the paint found herself chained to foul trouble from the very start. Early in the second half, she was tagged with one of the softest moving screen violations anyone could remember. Replay showed minimal contact, barely a brush, but the whistle cut through the arena like a dagger. Minutes later, she was hit again. This time after Megan Gustafson flung herself to the floor in dramatic fashion, rewarded as though she had absorbed a heavyweight punch. The trend was unmistakable. Each trip down the floor, Boston wrestled with defenders tugging at her arms and body, only for the officials to punish her instead. By the time she fouled out on what looked like a routine rebound late in regulation, the Fever's best chance at survival had been ripped from them. Fans erupted online, calling it phantom, calling it rigged, calling it everything except fair. And who could blame them? You don't eject the heart of a team. It's on a call that flimsy unless there's something more than basketball at play. But Boston wasn't the only one sacrificed on the altar of controversy. Kelsey Mitchell, Indiana's dynamic guard and offensive engine, was hacked all night. Arms draped over her drives, hips slammed into her cuts, and yet her trips to the line remained sparse. By the third quarter, her body finally gave out, cramping so severely that she had to be carried off the floor. She had 15 points, 3 of 3 from deep, and was keeping Indiana afloat almost single-handedly. But the endless punishment without whistles left her sidelined when her team needed her most. Later that night, she ended up in the hospital. Her exhaustion and injuries, a physical reminder of what happens when referees refuse to protect players. Her absence in crunch time wasn't just bad luck. It was the direct result of officials turning a blind eye to contact that should have been called. And still, the Fever would not die. Odyssey Sims, signed late on a hardship contract, became the fire that refused to be extinguished. 27 points, 6 assists. Relentless drives to the basket that cut through defenders like a hot knife through steel. Sims didn't just score, she embodied defiance. Every time she got knocked down without a whistle, she rose back up and attacked again. Every time Vegas tried to bury the Fever under another manufactured run, Sims dragged them back with sheer force of will. Her performance wasn't just about points. It was about sending a message. If the league wanted the Aces in the finals, Indiana wasn't going to hand it to them. They would have to take it, claw it away, possession by possession, whistle by whistle. And that's exactly what happened in the fourth quarter. With Mitchell gone, with Boston strapped to the bench after her 6th foul, Indiana still found a way. Lexie Hull, playing through a back injury, flew across the floor with reckless abandon. 12 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assist numbers that only hint at her true impact. She dove after loose balls, slammed into passing lanes, and put her body on the line for every deflection. At one point, she was shoved so violently by a Vegas player that fans expected a flagrant review. Instead, it was brushed off as a common foul. The kind of ruling that underscored the imbalance that had haunted the series from the start. But Hull didn't crumble. She fought on, and afterward, she became one of the few voices willing to step up and call the game what it was. Obviously, ending on a loss is hard and not what you want, she said, but we can be proud of the effort. We kept fighting even when Alia and Kelsia were gone. We sent it to overtime. We're proud of that fight. Her words carried weight. Because she wasn't just describing a game, she was describing an entire season. Shea Petty added her own quiet heroics, knocking down 3 crucial three-pointers to keep Indiana alive. Without her steady shooting, Vegas might have run away with it. But Petty's threes bought Sims the space she needed to attack and reminded everyone that depth mattered, even in the face of a whistle that seemed determined to erase it. Natasha Howard, too, took her share of punishment. Smacked across the eyes without a call, bodied repeatedly under the rim. She kept anchoring the defense and providing toughness. Every Fever player gave more than they had, as though they all knew the whistle would take something from them eventually. And still, they found a way to force overtime. That was the moment fans will never forget. Indiana, battered, undermanned, and robbed, still dragged the 2-time champions into extra minutes. It wasn't the referees that willed them there. It was their refusal to quit. Odyssey Sims banked in shot after shot. Hull played through pain. Petty's threes stretched the floor. This was supposed to be the end, the moment the whistle finally broke them. Instead, it became the clearest evidence that the Fever weren't going anywhere, no matter how stacked the deck was against them. But you can't play 5 and 8 forever. In overtime, the weight of the fouls, the exhaustion of playing short-handed, and the missing presence of Boston and Mitchell finally took its toll. Vegas hit their free throws. Indiana's last-ditch efforts fell short, and just like that, the season ended not with a loss, but with a robbery. Yet the true story didn't stop when the buzzer sounded. Because if this series was about injustice, it was also about resilience. The Fever didn't just survive the Aces, they exposed them. They revealed to the entire league that Indiana is no longer a rebuilding project, no longer a team looking for scraps at the bottom of the standings. This is a squad with the guts and talent to push a dynasty to its absolute limit. Even while shorthanded, even while fighting officials as much as opponents, they weren't supposed to be here. A 6th seed with 6 season-ending injuries. Caitlin Clark, their generational star,